So representing stuff 3D drawing, right? If we're taking our cube that you just made and you're looking straight down on it, what do you see? Yeah, that's it, right? It's just 3 squares. This is kind of ridiculous, but I'm gonna color these red. So there's our shape, right? All we see is just the 3 squares. So if we're drawing that, if we slide over and draw, we're gonna have, and I'm gonna do this again, you guys. I want you to try and kind of start working through these line weight issues, not issues, but just challenges. So we're gonna try and make that as proportional as possible, right? I'm going to try and make this thing as square as possible. And again, we're going for those kind of crossing corners. All right, so how does that look to you? Terrible, right? You can say that. Please say terrible. Please know that it's terrible. I'm going to try and prop this thing up a little bit. All right, what's wrong with my sketch? Can't see it, right? No line weights, totally flat, doesn't show up at all, doesn't pop off the page. So I'm going to go back in and I'm going to just darken it a little bit. I'm going to darken all the lines a little bit because we can see all of those lines. And then I want to go back and I'm going to put a nice bold profile line around the outside. All right, how's it look now? A lot better, right? A ton better, right? Because it's got some depth now. It's jumping off the page, right? You should be able to step back. And the great thing about the camera is you're looking at it really tiny. You know, it's honestly, it's kind of a good thing. So it doesn't, you've got to have those line weights to get it to jump off the page. Before you turn anything in, step away from your desk by 3 feet and take a look at it. If you think it looks good, then you've done a good job. Because when you're sitting here really close, you can't tell, right? So the advantage you guys have out there is when you're looking at that little image up on the screen, if I don't draw with some line weights and some personality, it's not, you can't understand the shape at all, right? So that's kind of an important thing to look at for the first drawing. So that is the first view. That's what we would call maybe like a top view, right? So we've got a top view of a drawing, and then what do we have? Yeah, front views, and we've got side views, right? So all of these views relate to each other one way or another, right? So if I'm looking at this drawing this direction, if I rotate it, I've got a different view, right? Color should make that. Let's do that one in blue. Do you guys have any of this stuff? Did anybody do this in like high school or art classes or whatever? Did you? Really? That's awesome. I want to hear more about that, actually. This is what so this is what this is about. It's about spatial awareness and spatial ability and understanding how to represent three-dimensional things and how three-dimensional things are actually exist in the world. It's not easy. It's not a thing everybody can do, right? Like my sister is terrible at it. Like I'm not good at political science. She's great at that kind of stuff, but she can't pack a suitcase, right? Like she can't put things in, you know what I mean? Like she just doesn't work for her. All right, so let's take this, our little cube, and then what we're going to do is we're going to draw the blue side, right? And there's a direct relationship to the blue side, right? This face is right next to that face, right? So what we're going to do is, and I'm going to draw a little bit. I'm going to use colored pencils too, I think. I'll use a little, is that red? Red. I'm use a red. What I'm going to do is do something called projection zoom, right? So I'm going to project now. I'm going to project these lines straight up. I did a terrible job. Try and keep them a little bit square, right? So once we project our line straight up, now what I'm going to do is I can draw the other shape coming up across the top. So I know I've got a cube here. and try and do two of them. And then these come straight across. And once I get the shape a little bit closer to decent, I'll come back in, I'll add my object lines. And then I'm going to come back through and do my really bold profile lines. Ooh, too soft. So now I've got what we could call, I guess we could call a front view and a top view. So far so good? Not terrible?